in police departments and law enforcement in general, you got guys that make cases and you got guys that just sit around and don't do cases, or you got guys that only do warrants and nothing else. Not all, but a lot of SWAT guys don't necessarily do their own investigations. What do I mean by this? Typically, guys, when you have a big case or you have something where you need search warrants done or you need simultaneous search warrants done or whatever it may be, there's a case officer or a lead detective or a lead investigator or a lead case agent, whatever it may be, right? That person is responsible for the success of the investigation, okay? You don't have time when you're the main case agent to sit there and be hitting house after house one by one. You have to do the thing simultaneously. And the reason why is because when you do houses simultaneously, you prevent, number one, the destruction of evidence, and then number two, the alert of co-conspirators. Drug trafficking is an inherently dependent crime upon other co-conspirators, okay? You need to depend on other people to facilitate the transportation, manufacture, distribution, and production of drugs. That's just how it goes. And this is coming from a guy that did investigations in the drug world at the highest level. I was seizing thousands of pounds of marijuana, hundreds of kilos of cocaine, methamphetamine, etc., dealing with Mexican cartels. When you do search warrants for drugs, okay, and you have multiple stash houses identified, or you have a stash house identified, but you also have a courier house identified, or you have another location identified where criminal activity is going on in the drug trafficking organization, you need to hit all the houses up at the same time. And that is to prevent the detection of law enforcement, the destruction of evidence, and to also promote safety, okay? Because guys are going to flee when you hit it one by one. So simultaneous search warrants are just the way you got to do things when it's, especially in drug trafficking. Okay, so this SWAT guy doesn't know what he's talking about. And the reason why he doesn't know what he's talking about, and I already know by just him simply saying something like that, is because when you're an investigator, you think that way, where I need to go ahead and get all my evidence, get all my targets in custody. SWAT guys, a lot of the times, don't do cases. They just do SWAT. They just do SWAT. Their specialty is being involved in SWAT. They're not necessarily involved in the investigative process, and they don't need to understand the importance of gathering evidence in an efficient manner and minimizing and mitigating risk when it comes to the destruction of evidence, okay? So in this case, what should have been done, and of course we can all be 20/20 hindsight here and Monday morning quarterback, is they should have had SWAT hit all the houses at once, okay? However, the issue here is that, like I told y'all before, they knocked on the door, which they shouldn't have done. All the other residences, I'm pretty sure were no-knock warrants. Okay, and that gives SWATs the advantage to get in there. Bam, police. They kick the door in. Police. Bam, they feel overwhelmed because you got SWAT guys going in there. All right, but it's just that Brianna's house was identified as a stash house. It wasn't necessarily identified as a trafficking house. So in their eyes, the probability of a firearm being on scene or a bunch of other guys being on scene wasn't going to be as high. But what they should have done was definitely put SWAT there. But to say simultaneous search warrants at the same time is bad business is ludicrous. It tells me that he is not well versed in how drug investigations work, period. All right. And I can say that with 100% confidence. He don't know what he's talking about.
Narcotics officers testified that they didn't know Taylor had a new boyfriend, that her sister lived there, or that her 2-year-old.
And again, like I said before, SWAT guys hit houses. They don't do cases. Make that very clear for you guys. They hit houses. They don't do cases. They don't put complex cases together. You call them when you need the houses hit, but they're not the ones investigating the crime, figuring out who's who, identifying targets, identifying where evidence may be, etc. That's another thing too I want to let y'all know. They keep saying that they didn't find any evidence in the house. The reason why they didn't find any evidence in the house, guys, is because the narcotics didn't search the house, okay? The people that ended up searching the house was the PIU, and they did it now because it turned into an internal investigation and a murder investigation. So that is obviously going to take precedence over a drug investigation. All right. When you do a drug search warrant, you're going to have to peel back, floorboards. You're going to have to start knocking shit down because when they hide drugs, they hide it in small compartments or whatever it may be. Now, in this case, okay, Brianna was a contact of a high-level drug trafficker. So they were looking more for money, ledgers, etc.